Hi, I'm filmmaker Kevin Wilmot. I'd like to speak with you about a very important project we've been working on called The Barber's Diaries. The Barber's Diaries is a story of Charles Ellis, who was a black barber in an all-white town during the 1920s. During that period, it was a very dangerous time for African Americans. Whole black communities were wiped out, racially cleansed. Blacks were lynched. But Charles Ellis found a way to deal with these realities through pen, paper, and faith. It's time we deal with this hidden history. Contemporary author Elliot Jaspin details this era of racial cleansing in his book, Buried in the Bitter Waters.
The thing that is maybe gives it a kind of an eerie feel to it is that he, like every other black in America at that period, was under a sentence of death. And at virtually any minute, his whole situation could have changed. He could have been accused of, being disrespectful to a white woman, and suddenly he could be dead. Someone in the community could have stepped out of bounds, or in an economic downturn, they could have decided that that blacks in that community were no longer welcome, and he would have, faced a racial cleansing. And against that backdrop, he just goes about living his life.
Sometime in the fire, sometime in the fire, sometime in the fire, sometime in the fire. When I hear that mournful sound, sometime you and me to fight for ourselves.
When things seem bad, so very bad, that worse they could not be, hold fast to hope, cling hard to faith, that some way out you'll see. I have not been reading from diaries of famous men. I have been reading from the diaries of a barber.
Charles Everett Ellis lived with his family, his wife and their 7 children in the small Illinois farming town of Altamont. He was the town barber, a valuable asset in the white community.
Barbershop is where men congregate. They just come and sit and they talk, and the barber listens. Now, in this instance, all the clients are white. And Dad is not only the barber, but he's the only black man in town. And if you just think about that situation, you know that they spoke about many things as if he were not there, just ignored the fact that he was black, and Dad could not express himself as he would like to have because they were his clients.
They had no idea how rich a creative life he had.
Here was a man who read the Greek philosophers, and he had an active life of the mind.
You see, this is the incongruity that I think is the story about Papa.
Man is what he thinks, not what he says, reads, or hears.
And I can just see him deciding when he was 40, by jingo, I can't say what I want to say in the shop, but I can say it on paper. I can record my life, and I'm going to do it.
On his 40th birthday in 1927, Ellis resolved to bring focus, meaning, and inspiration to every moment of his life. He started by keeping a diary.
These pages tell you where his thoughts were. And I'm sure that it helped him keep a quiet mind. April 24th, 1930. I'm having trouble that only the Almighty God and myself know of.
In 1933, at the height of the Great Depression, Charles Ellis was finally forced to close the barbershop where he had worked for 30 years to seek other ways of keeping his family together.
Persistent adherence to a purpose accomplishes anything.
The Depression was devastating to the whole country, not only to Dad, but when he made that decision to leave Altamont with his health, his plans, and his diaries.
Ellis made the desperate plan to hitchhike to Arizona, 1,500 miles away, just to cut hair and give shaves. He was only 6 years into the writing of what would become a 44-year journal.
There shall be no doubts nor fears.
This is his distinct, unique voice in those diaries.
There is happiness in the heart of him who prizes a right conscience above public opinion, integrity over personal gain, and who refuses to make compromise with principle, even though by every conventional standard his life might be judged a failure.
Charles Ellis continued his quest for knowledge and spiritual growth for the rest of his life. When he died in 1971 at the age of 84, his diaries contain more than 2,600 pages in 6 volumes spanning world events, his family, and his intellectual and philosophical journey. In the diaries of Charles Everett Ellis, one sees and feels a timelessness of an American life that inspires the heart, encourages the soul, and embodies the human spirit.
We have the story. We have the talent. All we need now are financial partners to provide finishing funds so America can finally hear this story.